What's up guys, Ultimately here, welcome back to another video, and in today's video, we got something East Coast, which is very rare on my channel. So, we have the Reading 2100 Reading T1. So, we're going to take a look at it, and this is a gorgeous model. So, I'm going to go ahead for a brief history of the engine. Built in 1945 from rebuild I-10 SA280 consolidations, these were rebuilt from those consolidations into 484 Northern type steam locomotives. These were very powerful. These were probably some of the most powerful Northerns ever built. Right up there with the Class J, GS4, and 2900 series. These could produce a maximum tractive effort of 79,800 pounds. And they had Franklin boosters on the trailing truck, which is why they could produce so much more power. Without that, they could produce around 68,000 pounds, I believe. But either way, these are some really nice engines. These had 70-inch drivers and had some really long tenders, which were very, very classy looking. And another reason why I really wanted this is because I really like the way the Reading T1s look in the Ramble scheme, which is what this is, 2100, which is actually currently being restored right alongside 2102, which runs at the Reading and Blue Mountain Railroad, where 425 runs. And that's going to be very interesting because since it's going to be running on that line and it doesn't need the assistance of diesel power, that's going to be really nice. 2100, unfortunately, doesn't have that luxury, although if it does visit there, then it won't need that diesel help. But I really wanted 2100 because it's in the original Reading scheme, and that's how it's going to be rebuilt once it gets finished restored. 2100 itself, of course, was retired and was used as a spare parts engine for 2101 when it ran for the Freedom Train, and was, again, used as a spare parts engine. It was then restored and used on excursions by multiple owners, but I can't remember all the owners. But I do know the owner in Tacoma who ran this engine, who had this thing painted up in Ferroquis, which was basically this with a red stripe down the middle, and also on the tender with Ferroquis over it. And they converted it to oil. It had ditch lights, and it had some light right underneath the headlight, which looked terrible. But it ran terrible and it looked terrible. The F40 that it ran with was doing most of the work at the time. So, whoever bought the T1 now, I forget what this historical society's name is, go support them for this project. I want to see this thing in its heritage, in its Ramble's heritage. They saved the T1 and now they're converting it back to anthracite coal, which is what these things burned. And they're going to be rebuilding this engine. It's going to be in this Reading's heritage like it is right here, and it's going to be very, very nice looking. I really can't wait to see how that looks. These are some of my favorite 484s, right up there with the GS4 and the 844 and basically the FEF series. Yeah, I don't think it beats the GS1 and the GS6, but it does definitely come close. But yeah, that's that. That's what this engine is. So this is a Broadway limited model, which is pretty obvious because I can't afford brass. It's very nice. It is plastic, unfortunately, but it pulls very well, and it still weighs a decent amount. It's got traction tires on the very last axle. It's got a die-cast chassis, of course. It has KD coupler on the rear of the tender. It didn't come with a KD on the front. It came with the Easemate, but I put a KD on the front. And if you put a 1.4, I think this is a number 5. If you put a number 5 in there, it should come out at the right height. That's what my coupler did. But yeah, that's that. So yeah, that's this engine. It's really nice, really detailed. We're gonna take a look at the details. So starting at the front, of course, you got your coupler, which is nice. You got your suicide steps and your cow catcher. These were banned, I think, in the 50s. So you wouldn't see engines with these anymore. So I guess this is one of the very last few examples with suicide steps. But yeah, it looks pretty good. I bought this engine new in a bid off of eBay, which I had a friend buy it for me because at the time I didn't have all the money for it yet. So I had him buy it for me. His name is Kyle. I will link his TikTok in the description, along with the T1's project. Anyway, he bought this engine for me, and I reimbursed him, and it was perfect for him because he wanted to get his first taste of a Broadway Limited engine. So go support his TikTok and, give him some love because he's trying to get the 1,000 so he can stream his layout building process. He's a cool guy, really good friend of mine. But anyway, yeah, that's that. The only damage that was on this engine was the rear step on the tender was detached, but that was it. This engine was pretty much new though because the Reddings thing wasn't even attached, which I had to glue on. But anyways, you have your suicide steps, you have your cow catcher, you have your coupler, of course, you have your coupler cut lever, which doesn't move. Oh, no, never mind, it does. It moves. And you have your flag poles right here, which are in yellow, which again, this is another reason why I liked it, because the scheme is so freaking cool. You have your Reddings Herald, which is in a separate bag, and you can glue it on. You have treading right underneath the smoke box. You have these gorgeous yellow handrails going up. Headlight, and your number plate, which is really nice looking. Actually, I think the 2100 number plate might be missing on mine, but that's not a terrible thing. But that's something I think that's something that's missing on there that I just noticed. Anyways, headlight, 2100 on the side of the headlight. You have your brass bell, which is really nice, and it does move, of course. Headlight, I think I just talked about that. You have your feed water heater up here. You have your smokestack, which does come off. Going to the side, we have the cylinders, lubricators, and all that stuff. You have your drive gear, your lead truck, which is white walled and very nicely done. You have, of course, all your drive gear, 70-inch drivers, box drivers, roller bearings on all the axles, so that's really nice. This engine does have bearings. That's another reason why I really love this engine too. It has bearings and it doesn't grind its chassis like a Bachmann. Yeah, nice safety treading on the walkways on the side of the boiler, which is really nice. You got your separately applied throttle linkage, gorgeous yellow handrails running back to the cab. You have your smokestack, like I was talking about. Really nice detail on the side. You have your reverse gear, which is visible right underneath here. Not as easy to see on camera, but in person it's there. Going back to the firebox, so this engine. You have your ash pan, you have your piping going to the air reservoirs and all of the things that powers this engine. You have your trailing truck, which is nice. This has booster detail on the back of the trailing truck, which I will show in a little bit, which is very nice looking. You have a nicely detailed whistle. You have your safety pop-off valves right here. You have your dynamo up here. You have your steam dome, your sand dome. I'm not sure what this part is for, right here, for the T1, but that's very nicely done though. Going back to the cab, you have 2100 clearly and nicely painted there. You have T1 painted underneath it. These roof hatches open. Not the easiest thing to open, but they both open, which is nice. I'm going to close them though. There we go. Cab interior is really nicely done. You do have a firebox flicker that does come on when you power this engine up. You have your drawbar, which is plastic, but that's okay. It is sprung, so that's nice. Wish it was metal drawbar though. Going to the other side, you have your 2100, again clearly nicely painted on the side. I believe the cab windows also open as well, if I'm not mistaken. Not too sure. I'm not going to pick at it though. But either way, you have your cab windows, which are nicely done. You have your blow-down pipes. You can start to see that booster detail in the back on the trailing truck. That's what this part is on the trailing truck. This like thing that sticks out. That's the booster engine that would give the trailing truck drive capability to actually help this engine get more traction, which is another reason why this engine could pull up to 200 coal hoppers by itself. So that's another nice thing. Separately applied detailing on the side. More detail on the top, safety treading, drive gear, air reservoirs and air tanks, your cylinders and everything. Really nicely looking engine. Just a really cool, classy engine. Up top, up here is where it's really cool because you got all this brass detailing and you got all these separately applied pieces. There is a little bit of a mold seam in the boiler, but honestly, it's not really that noticeable. Safety valves. I think we just talked about the whistle earlier, and then there's the dynamo. Your turret hatches. And yeah, that's that. The underside, nothing, not much. Your trailing truck, there is a switch for the smoke unit, which I will probably have to, well, I might be able to show you if I turn the trailing truck this way. There's a switch right there. That little bar that sticks up, that's the switch for the smoke unit. So if I push it this way, I just turn it on. If I push it the other way, it just turns it off. There you go. So that's the smoke unit switch. I'm gonna put this engine back there now, and let's take a look at the tender. So the tender is really nicely done. You got your 8-pin plug, which is cool. I really wish they would start doing wireless drawbars more in the future, because it does those 8-pin plugs get annoying. Also, because it's a smoking engine, we're not going to take a look at the smoke unit today. In this episode, the smoke unit works, but I don't want to use it today, because it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and 2, I don't want to use the smoke because I'm still getting over a cold, so I'm not going to use the smoke. Yeah, safety treading on the deck of the tender, 8-pin plug, of course. You got your pin for the drawbar. 6-axle Buckeye trucks, I believe that's what these are. Anyways, anthracite coal load, which is very nicely done. I really like how you have the coal load up here, and then you have a little coal chest right here. That's really, really nice. I really like the way that's done. Handrails on the side of the tender, redding on the side of the tender, of course. Handrails up here on the top of the tender. The water hatch is really nicely done. To the back of the tender, you have a KV coupler, of course. You have a separately applied air hose, a working coupler cut bar, flag poles and handrails on the side of the tender. Operational backup light, 2100 clearly painted right there. A nice separately applied ladder, which is plastic, of course, because this is a plastic engine. Which is surprising. I thought this was always die cast. But unfortunately, Broadway was not as cool as MTH to make all their steam engines die cast. But their engines are really nice nonetheless, though. But even when they make them... Alright, so update. There was also a dummy coupler in the box, which I forgot to mention. Getting a notification now. And I found my number plate. It was in the bottom of the box, so that's good to know. So, gonna get that glued on, and then we're gonna take a look at this engine running in a minute. One thing I also want to make clear is that even though that there's a closer drawbar setting, I don't recommend using the closest one. To be honest, this is a really bad decision for Broadway, because why would you give them a closer setting option when you can't even use it? Because if you try to use the closer setting one, the tender will bind up when going around a curve, and 2, it just doesn't look right for some. Well, it looks good once it's actually very close to the tender, which is prototypical, but when you try to go around a curve or switch or basically do any basic task, it causes a whole bunch of problems. That, and I think it also lifts the tender up off the track, which that is a big no. So, yeah. Also, another thing, since we're looking down here, there's a speaker enclosure. It's right under right over the rear truck. And also, another thing is that there are no screws holding the tender shell on, so it's basically clipped on by a series of clips running down the side of the tender. So I'd recommend using a pair of flathead screwdrivers to get it off, or just very carefully prying it off with your fingers. That's what I do, but that's one thing I want to make aware. There's a coupler box. And yeah, brake rigging and all that stuff. Here's a better look at the underside of the boiler detail. I really like that Broadway does the under boiler detail, and it's separately applied. That's really nice. Taking the boiler off, there is 2 screws under the cab, and 1 screw under the front. It's right in front of the trailing truck screw. which is another reason why they have a hole in a certain other trailer truck, so you can get to that screw without taking the pilot truck off. But yeah, there's 2 screws underneath the cab, and there's a front screw right in front of the pilot truck screw. But yeah, that's that. I've had to take the boiler off to replace the firebox light because when I got this engine, the firebox light wasn't working. So yeah, there was 3 things wrong with this engine when I got it, but other than that, they were all pretty minor and very easy fixes. So yeah, but other than that, that's that. I got the number plate glued on, so that's good. Anyways, let's go ahead and get this engine running. Okay guys, so we are here with T1. As you can tell, the track power is on by the GS4's lights are on. So we're going to go ahead and start this thing out. So you can either hit F9 or you can just move the engine. I got to move the engine because I'm using a crappy Bachmann system. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Now I have the smoke switch flipped on for this. I'm only going to use it for the demo, like right here. I'm not going to have it on for the entire video though. So, yeah. So, here's the bell. Pretty good. Here's the whistle. So yeah, there's that. And coupler clash or coupler slack if you move it. And let's take a look at the smoke real quick. Alright, we just turned the smoke off, and I'm going to keep it off for the rest of the video, but so for people who are smoke fans, then there you go. It does smoke pretty well. Smokes a lot like Broadway, like it should. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's really nice. The engine's also very smooth. This is the slowest I can make a move on my system. It can possibly get slower. But yeah, that's that. The firebox. So, like I said, I had to replace the firebox light, but that's what it looks like now. From the factory, it comes with like a red LED, but I replaced it with an orange LED, which looks way better. So, that's that. But yeah, that's a firebox. Let's see, what other functions can I access on here? There's the air pumps. I'm going to turn that back off. Number 5 blows down on F5. F4 was the air pumps, by the way. Number 6 is the water fill. If you press it again, it stops that sequence. F7 turns the smoke on and off. F8 is to mute. F9 is start up and shut down. And that's what I can access on this thing. There's of course more functions, but those are just the basic ones that I have at the moment. But the extra functions are included in the manual in the box. By the way, this is a Paragon 3 version, not the Paragon 4. But the Paragon 4 is basically exactly the same. The only difference between this and the Paragon 4 is that it comes in a long box, already connected. It comes with a Go Pack and a tender. And really, that's it. Nothing much. So, yeah, that's the Paragon 3 versus the Paragon 4 comparison. And that's this. So, we're going to get this engine running. And yeah. This engine also, I might as well, since I got the chance to do so, I'm going to try to do a pull test with this thing. Now, this thing pulls very well. It pulls all my cars, and I'm pretty sure it could pull more. But, because I actually have the chance to do so, I'll do it here on camera. So I gotta move the camera into position 844, smoke deflectors in the way. There we go. Oh, come on. Come on, camera. There we go. Okay, so there we go. Alright, so it's on ounces, and if I hold it and get it to move... Oh. I almost dropped my camera there. Okay. Let's try that again. Okay, I'm gonna sit it right here. This should be good enough. Okay, hope you guys can see it. .5. I'm pretty sure that's not right, so hold on. Alright, let's try that again. Huh, that's weird. That's strange. Alright, well. But when I took this thing out the box, it measured around 8 ounces or so. It's probably because the traction tires have a lot more wear in them. So, yeah. Pulling power may vary, but I'm pretty sure it'll pull up much more than that. But then again, like I said, because I've been running this engine a lot, those traction tires probably have a lot of wear in them now. And so, that's one reason. So, if you replace the traction tires, I'm pretty sure it'll pull more. Because I remember taking this thing out the box, it'll pull around 6 to 8. It doesn't pull quite as much as the GS4 probably would. This is an MTH model. But, because of course the MTH model is going to be a little bit heavier since it's die-cast. But, this should definitely pull no problem though. Especially if you have put a fresh set of traction tires on, you should be fine. But anyways, that's that. We're going to get this thing coupled up. And we're going to take this thing around the layout. So, I hope you guys enjoy. Up, hit a dip. Dip in the track. There we go. Yeah, sorry about that. My tri does have a little bit of dips in it, and it does not like that, so sorry about that. But yeah, it's pulling this train though.